and is how do we combat your tip for combating procrastination? And motivation and procrastination are not the same thing. They're not. They might look the same, but they're kind of not, because you could be unmotivated and not be procrastinating. I want us all to hear me say that. So I'm going to actually define procrastination for our benefit. And I am also going to shamelessly plug my book because it's all about procrastination in students. And the first thing we do in the book is we define it, because if we're not all on the same, if we're not all working with the same definition, then procrastination, then we're all on different, literally and figuratively, pages. So how I define procrastination is this, and I want you, I keep doing that, I keep looking at my phone. I want you all to hear me. We tend to think of delay as procrastination. Not all delay is procrastination. Procrastination is putting something off or not doing it at all. And that's where most of us stop. We think, okay, that's procrastination right there. Like he's not getting it done until tomorrow or 2 days or 4 days later, but it's not, that's not procrastination. Procrastination is putting something off or not doing something, knowing that there is a consequence on the other side. For there to be true procrastination, there has to be a consequence to the action. There has to be, I want you all, like it does, you know, that moving some, kicking a can down the road doesn't live alone. There has to be a consequence for it to be true procrastination, which is why it looks different than motivation. So I'm actually going to take this one. I'm going to say that my absolute first tip to, and this is not a specific, it's a little like, 36,000 level view is to come at it a different way. I'm always about what's getting in your way and not what is the like consequence of it. It's more like it's playing that I spy, and this is for parents, like what is getting in the way? Because there's always something in the way. So is the assignment too big, too hard, too long, too vague? Do they not understand what it is they're being asked to do? Are they being asked to do it at a time where they have no energy left to do it? So it's really figuring out what is that barrier to entry, and how do we remove it? So that's my answer. So John, what's yours?
So it's all connected to the motivation, but I absolutely agree with the distinction of the difference. So is to have a plan, right? To know where you want to go and write that out and then connect it with your whys. So you always have it in front of you. You can turn to it. You know what your goals are. You know what your plan are. It incorporates what we talked about today, chunking things down and having timelines. But it's a tool that you can turn to. So when you're avoiding things, knowing you have the consequence, you can see there with the why and where you want to go.
I'm going to challenge you now, because I haven't even opened the chat yet, but I know this is in there. What happens if my kid doesn't have a why? What happens if my student doesn't know their why? What happens if my student doesn't care about their why?
Yeah. So a couple things.
I know that's, like I hear that all day, every day.
That's where coaching comes in, right? Because you're helping uncover and you're helping unlock that why. They're there. They don't know, they may not know, they may have not thought about it, but you're helping them unlock it. And you're helping them unlock the plan to get there. And that's laddering back up to what we all sort of agreed with, like, how do you best operate? So it's helping uncover those things that are buried inside of them.
Okay.
And then helping them show a path, but a path that makes sense for them.
Okay, good. Sarah, I'm going to go to you. Procrastination. What's your thoughts, honey?
So in some ways it's similar, but I'll give some other examples with like breaking it down and making a plan. So whenever a student gets a new assignment, we always like go in and make sure we understand exactly what the assignment is. And actually so if it's a writing assignment, we paste the directions into a Google Doc and make like a question answer outline for them to see the questions. And when they weren't stated as questions, right? We made them questions from how the teacher wrote directions. And then they know if they have questions to ask the teacher before they even jump into it. Or if it's a math assignment, we see how many problems there are. Does anything look confusing? So they know if they need to get help. And really this takes like 2 to 5 minutes max, even if it's like a big paper.
Sure.
And procrastination mostly goes away when they know what they're jumping into.
Okay, I like that because I like that that's something very specific and very tangible that they can see. So that's just great. Okay, John, I'm not John, I'm sorry, Keith, I apologize.
That's okay. Well, I definitely agree with removing obstacles. I think that's the number one, right? Don't go at it looking for the path, try to figure out what's in the way. I mean, that's key. I do think building in rewards, not buying a new car. I mean, I'll give you a simple one. Like I have ADHD, right? I struggle. You know, if I have to write content for social media and I have like a thing of pretzels next to me, you know, I'll write like 2 paragraphs before I'm allowed to have a couple of, like, I'm always giving them a little bit, but it works. Like, you know, it's like if you have math problems and you have 10 problems to do and you got a banana there, well, guess what? You don't get to take a bite of that banana until you do your first problem. And, you know, trying to.
The banana is really the reward.
Well, but building in rewards.
I do
You know,
that.
even if it's drink, you know, you drink whatever it is, like just, but also the other thing I was going to say too about procrastination is I think a lot of students, I speak because I have a son who struggles with this too. He needs sometimes that looming pressure, that deadline of looming pressure to get motivated. So what I've taught him to do is like when he has a paper coming up, I will tell him the day you get that paper, do the organization, figure out what you're going to write about, get it done, get it on paper so you can put it away. And if you need to write that a little closer to the date, because it's just how your brain's going to work, at least you have a plan. If you try to plan it right before the night before, now you're stressed, now you're anxious, you don't have any plan, you're going nuts. But if you know you're going to wait, just make the plan and then just put it aside and get to it when you're ready. But at least you have a plan.
So there's a lot to unpack in what Keith said. So there's the old school of calling what you said functional procrastination. I don't agree with that because, again, I feel that there has to be a consequence. So I don't even agree that when you're waiting, let's say for 2 days or see the deadline, that's procrastination. That's what works for your child. And I have a very quick but really good story where this was years ago, and it's rare, but I was working with a student and the parent, and it happened to be the mother at the time, and he was 16, and it was Friday, and it was a long weekend, and the mother was like, I don't understand. It's Friday, and this thing is due on Tuesday, and he has all the time this afternoon, and he won't do it, and he won't do it, and she was going on and on. This is her, not me. And he very quietly turned to his mother, and he said, you can yell at me at midnight of Tuesday and not a minute before. That doesn't work for me. Now, that's not, in my world, that's not a procrastination, but that's like your point where he had a plan. His plan, he was going to sit down on Monday and just knock the whole thing out. That's what he wanted because, and maybe it's a little risky, but he'd done it before and it worked for him. And I'm a big believer in not fixing what's not broken. So I am completely in agreement. The other thing I wanted to say about what you said is one of my favorite procrastination strategies is separating the setup from the task. And it's almost similar to what you just said, John, about, I keep calling you John. I don't know what's with me. I'm so sorry about getting organized and getting it all that way and then not working on it. And I will even do that with students for homework because we have a lot of students who come home and they are not in any way, shape, or form ready to engage in what I call high effort, which is homework. They can get themselves prepared. So maybe it's opening their books, pulling up their assignment, taking out their planner. They have one, popping the popcorn or putting the pretzels because I need a snack too and I'm working, and then walking away. But now what happens when it's time to come to it, the bridge has been built. Then what you're also doing, and I'm telling this for you all to listen to me, is I firmly believe that having to be 100% motivated or rely on our own motivation is needless, right? I feel that we can lighten the load and share the load with our environment. Our environment really helps us lighten the load. It says to us, Keith, come in here. This is where you need to be right now. It does that. with if you have a fun, bright office or a great workspace, or your stuff is sitting out, or your earbuds are waiting for you, your music is ready to go. So I feel that I have seen that's separating the setup from the task has really helped a lot of my students with that procrastination kickback. So I wanted to share that.